the engine and the gearbox and wheels about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I had most of a Manx engine and a gearbox in 500 form, so I thought I'm close enough to build that, so I'll use that. And the idea is to fit a 350 engine in. One that's in the Hockney Museum. It was found in Doncaster in 1982, and then I had a triumph. So that isn't even original. The thing with so on and so forth. Straight away and allows us to go to gear. So it's not about clutch, this is all about clutch control.
Something special about this Norton, and Steve here will tell us all about it in a minute, but it not only looks special, but I do know for a fact that it is special. And of course it's got Duke written on it, and I can only think that that's got something to do with the late, great Geoff Duke. Steve, lovely to have you in the paddock again. You always bring something unusual to the paddock, which is great.
Usually. Sometimes it can be a little bit boring, but this is quite a special thing. Well, I won't bore everyone to death with this because there's so much to know really. This bike is dated from 1958, and it was built as a collaboration between Geoff Duke, Ken Sprayson of Reynolds Tubes, and another chap called Bill Lacey, who was an engine builder and tuner. Bill Lacey was like sort of Michael Francis Pearce and Steve Lansfield. He was one of these really fantastic tuners of the period. And it was built for the 350 World Championship of that year to be ridden by Geoff. And the reason it was built was because Geoff had been a Gilera rider, but he'd lost his job at the end of 57 when Gilera quit racing. And so he thought, I'm 35 years of age, I'm a 6-time world champion, maybe it's time to hang on my leathers. And then BMW offered him a ride on one of their RS 500s, and he thought, brilliant, right, what am I going to ride in the 350 championship? Something else happened at the end of 57, and that was Motor Guzzi, who'd won the World Championship in 54, 55, 56 and 57. They also quit. So really it was an open door for Indy Augusta just to take a clean sweep, win the 350, win the 500, just bash everybody. And Geoff decided that wasn't really going to work. So what he decided to do is take a look at the Motor Guzzi that had won the previous year. It was making similar horsepower to a Manx, but it only weighed 220 pounds. Now the MV was making about 51 horsepower and weighed 215 pounds. So Geoff thought, if I can build a Manx making similar horsepower to the works bikes he was riding for Norton in the early 50s, and get a power to weight ratio similar to the MV, then I'm in with a chance. It's a one-off frame. No, it's actually not. There's two frames that were built. One of them is in the Hockney Museum in Germany, the other one's here. The front forks are lead and link. They were designed by Ken Sprayson. And the whole thing about the bike is super light. These bikes weigh 265 pounds. That's 55 pounds lighter than the standard Manx. The forks are half the weight of a standard set of Manx forks. The frame is all in 18 gauge 531, so it's super light. Geoff liked a bike with a weight forward. A little bit where we talked about the triples there, with the Rocket 3 engine tilting forward one weight over the front end. This has got a 6.5 degree cant in the engine, pushing the weight forward. The engine is about half an inch further up, but the gearbox is 1.5 inches further up. And the front tube, you can just see it poking out under the there in there. Yeah. That's an oil tank, and that's forms part of the headstock and comes all the way down in front of the engine, again pushing the weight forward.
It's great to see, we've got an opportunity to see a unique bike here. What's incredible, it was a bold move from Ken Sprayson to create those forks, given how the legendary popularity of the road holders.
The thing with leading link forks is there's a couple of advantages. Obviously they're super light, they're a hell of a lot lighter than the standard set of Manx forks. The Manx forks, the sliders are forged aluminium, the yokes are cast iron, it's a lot of weight. And telescope forks, you have stiction. They're not perfect. They really aren't perfect. You get no stiction with these. When you brake, the front end doesn't die. Both brake plates, both front and rear, they're floating. So when you apply the brakes, the bike stays level. It doesn't, it doesn't want to stand on its nose. So it doesn't want to dive into a corner. And then when you accelerate the forks, then it choppers out, it goes wide. You can hold your line right the way through the corner with one of these. And I've ridden this. And I have to say, I was a bit with trepidation, but I was pleasantly surprised. It actually handles really, really well. But
here again, and especially something so unique. It's going to have the same Manx sound, but it's definitely a different looking Manx. ridden by the legendary Geoff Duke. Oh, thank you, Steve. What a great way to end today's session at the GP paddock. Thanks for bringing the Duke Norton, and thanks to everybody for supporting the GP paddock.